and welcome to the Shelby County Board of Education March 15th meeting, work session. Ms. Clark, please call the roll.
Board
March
Member McKissick.
18th, excuse me.
Board Member McKissick.
Present.
Board Member Garcia.
Present.
Board Member Murphy.
Present.
Board Member Williams. And Vice Chair Love.
Present.
You have 5 in the affirmative.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in acknowledging the untimely death of Jordan Stocks, an educational assistant at Raleigh Egypt High School.
And I'd also like for us to keep in our hearts the family of Pastor Ricky Floyd, who also lost his life last week.
You may be seated. The next item on the agenda is a spotlight of the arts. The chair recognizes Rashawn Jenkins.
Good evening. Tonight's Spotlight on the Arts performance highlights the 2025 Orff Music All-City Concert, Memphis, Orff, and Soul. The co-chairs for this year's concert are Jan Crum from Chimney Rock Elementary and Julius Dabbs from Riverview K-8. The Orff All-City Concert is a tradition dating back to 1973. This unique experience provides students from our Orff Music program the opportunity to perform with peers from schools across our district. As part of this collaboration, 332 students representing 60 elementary schools will sing, say, dance, and play to music arranged by our very own Orff music teachers. Tonight's showcase will feature select elementary students from Chimney Rock, Delano, Riverview, Dexter, Kate Bond, Keystone, Oak Forest, Richland, Roselle, Sherwood, and William H. Brewster. They will be performing Somebody Someday, written by our very own Julius Dabbs from Riverview K-8. You are all invited to attend the 55th Annual All-City Concert on April 3rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Cannon Center for the Performing Arts. Thank you.
Take
I get it. Your blues may not be my blues, but you're right. The blues is for anybody.
Yeah, so maybe next time you're feeling low, maybe a good blues song is the way to go.
True, true. But you know, by us being young and all, I need a little some lit, fresh, cool, new school, some rap, some hip hop. You feel me?
I feel you. Well, listen, I heard this remix on a poem by a well-known Memphian named William Herbert Brewster.
For real? I never heard of him.
Me neither. It just came out today on my Snap. That bass bounces like our boy Ja dribbles the ball down to the court. The lyrics are legit too. And check this out. He even got a school named after him.
Well, I'm down for it. Are you? Let's go, DJ Townsend and All City. Play that song.
Present conditions and thus circumstances may make it appear that I run out of chances. Odds are against me. This the fact I must admit. Not really boasting, just a fate and Memphis grit. In spite of things standing in my way, in spite of things I'm standing here today.
Some may think that I've made a very poor start. Well, maybe I have. But no worries, I handled that part. Cause at the end of the round, I'll be on my feet. For there's something that's within me that's too hard to beat. The fight may be tough, but I'm in to stay. The fight may be tough, but I'm on my way.
There are truly some things I would like to know, and truly some places I would like to go. There are certainly some things that I'd like to see, and something very special that I'd like to be. So let others do what they will or may. So let others do, but for me, I'll say.
The next item is special recognitions. There are no special recognitions at the workplace.
Excuse me, Chair. I just wanted to, for my colleague, Board Member Natalie McKinney, I wanted to acknowledge that she is present via video, so she's out there in the internet somewhere, but she sent a text just to make sure that there she is. All right.
Hello, Natalie.
Thank you. Hello.
All right.
The next item is the interim superintendent's report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Love. Before I go into my report, I want to just thank our students for doing an outstanding job with the arts today. Excellent job, excellent job. Vice Chair Love, I'd like to request a removal of item 9.12, removal of the property sale reversion clause for the former Hollywood Elementary, and 9.13, approval of the property sale reversion clause for the former Graceland Elementary land from tonight's agenda for further review and discussion.
I made a mistake. Approval of the agenda is next. Are there any amendments?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Porter,
I move that we remove item 10.4 from the agenda.
I'll second that. I think we need.
been moved and seconded by Porter and Amber Hood Garcia. Natalie,
Yes, I have one addition. Are you ready for me?
we have to take a vote on it. On the back. We have to take a vote on the item that we removed.
Okay.
Roll call.
Board Member McKissick,
Aye.
Board Member Garcia,
Aye.
Board Member Porter,
Aye.
Board Member Murphy,
Aye.
Board Member McKinney,
Aye.
Board Member Williams, and Chair Love.
Aye.
You have 6 in the affirmative and 1 nay.
That motion passes. Natalie,
Yes, I'd like to move to add the resolution, Shelby County Board of Education resolutions to support First 8 Memphis PreK for All initiative.
Second.
any objections? This resolution is added to the agenda. Are there
Thank
any
you.
more? Are there further amendments? Natalie,
Hello?
did you want to add something else?
No, I think are both of them on there. I think the other one I'll add it just to make sure because I can't see the agenda. But also resolution opposing changes in the authority of the duly elected Shelby County Board of Education. Is that already on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, those were the only two.
If there are no objections, the amendment is moved. Added. Are there further amendments? Being that there are no further amendments, we have a motion to adopt the agenda item as amended.
I move to adopt the initial item as amended.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Board Member McKissick,
Aye.
Board Member Garcia,
Aye.
Board Member Porter,
Aye.
Board Member Murphy,
Aye.
Board Member McKinney,
Aye.
Board Member Williams, Vice Chair Love. You have 7 in the affirmative.
The agenda is adopted. The next item of board business is this interim superintendent's report.
At this time, Vice Chair, I don't have any report for tonight.
No report. The next item is the staff item business.
Yes, Vice Chair Love, I would like to request the removal of 9.12, approval of the property sale revision clause from the former Hollywood Elementary, and 9.13, approval of the property sale reversion clause for the former Graceland Elementary land from tonight's agenda for further review and discussion. Nine point 1.2 and 9.13.
It will take a 2/3 vote to move the items. Remove it. The first item is Knowledge Tree Summer Learning Academy supplies.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the purchase of supplies from Knowledge Tree in the amount of $425,060 for the 2025 Summer Learning Academy.
Question. The next item is Tennessee Prevention Network.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the amendment to contract number 82389, 2024-2025 with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, increasing the total amount to $90,800. This includes the original $75,600 plus an additional $15,200 with no change to the contract's end date of June 30th, 2025.
Any questions? CCTE Technology Equipment.
Vice Chair has recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the purchase to Avery Jones Educational Solutions in the amount of $239,199.05 for computer hardware, and Unistar Sparco Computers, Inc. for deployment and asset tagging in the amount of $933.50 for the CCTE centers.
It's not a question, but in a committee meeting, I asked for the computers themselves, how many computers were out of compliance or out of warranty. And what I received was, I think the next item was about the cosmetology equipment. So it seemed like it was just a mix-up, but I want the computers that have been identified as out of warranty to justify the amount that we're going to spend.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Porter. We'll get that information to you.
No problem.
Item 9.4.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the acceptance of award funding in the amount of $100,000 from the City of Memphis.
Any questions? Nine point five, cosmetology and barbering equipment purchase.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the purchase of Kmart in the amount of $134,427.97 for the purchase of equipment for CCTE cosmetology and barbering program in the 4 centers, which include Kingsbury, Sheffield, Southwest CTC, and Tresman CTC. This purchase is based on the TIPS Cooperative Agreement, TIPS number 230301.
Item 9.6, Shelby County Government Pretrial Services MOU.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding with Shelby County Government Pretrial Services that will allow referrals of eligible preschool-age children of incarcerated parents to the Early Childhood Program for consideration for enrollment. This partnership will enable referrals to the Memphis-Shelby County Schools PreK through the intake phase of the Shelby County Government Pretrial Services process. This opportunity will assist parents in pretrial with enrollment into the program in the event of incarceration.
Questions? Item 9.7, Goodwill Excel Center, Mid-South.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the Goodwill Excel Center Mid-South to open 2 new locations, one in each of the zip codes 38108 and 38134. These new locations will replace 2 previous approved zip codes, upholding the board's consent for GECM to operate a total of 4 expansion sites.
Questions? Item 9.78.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Memphis-Shelby County Schools, the Memphis County Board of Education approves the purchase order to Master Distribution in the amount of $132,090 for 11,700 cases of bottled water at the cost of $5.10 per case for the district-wide distribution to students. This is for an initial purchase of $72,420 and $59,670 for the rest of the year.
Any questions? The next item is a grant acceptance for the Community Foundation of the Greater Memphis Barracks Chapel School.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves a grant of $24,959.40 from the Community Foundation of Greater Memphis, awarded to Barracks Chapel School to be used to support the instructional program, enhancement to the playground, and support the athletic department.
Any questions? 9.10, the food management service.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the contract for renewal of Heartland School Solutions in the amount of $227,205 for the maintenance and support of cloud-hosted applications. This includes food management software subscription services in the amount of $184,500 and meal viewer digital suite in the amount of $42,705.
Any questions? 9.11.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the contract to Smart Sense for a total amount not to exceed $827,854 to purchase 905 sensors to ensure the food stored in the warehouse coolers and walk-in freezers are kept in the desired temperature range. The initial service term is for 3 years in the amount of $538,192 with 2 additional 1-year options of $144,831. This is based on MSCS RFP 011020-4ANW.
Any questions?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just want to have clarification. So the amount of the 827,000 plus is to purchase the sensors, and then there's, in addition to that, a contract for service that piggybacks onto that?
Yes, for 2 additional 1-year terms of $144,831.
Okay, thank you.
We have a hand raised.
Natalie? Board Member Natalie Kenny. Board Member McKinney.
Yes. I didn't say anything.
Your hand is raised.
Your hand.
You hit your hand button.
Oh, it is? I'm sorry. That was a long time ago. Ignore that.
Did you have a question?
Not on that.
No.
The next 2 items are removed. Chiller service maintenance contract, 9.14.
Thank you, Vice Chair Love. It is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approves the contract to Chem Treat Inc. in the amount of $174,430 for preventative maintenance services for all district chillers. This is a 1-year contract with 2 1-year renewal options.
Any questions? Board Member Keith Williams, you're
Does this
recognized.
provide for any new chillers or just service?
I'll defer to Ms. Stewart.
It's just service. It's just the chemicals that go in the water that's in the chiller.
Chillers are you servicing?
All chillers in the district.
How many is that?
So some schools have 2 chillers and some schools have 3. I would have to get you an accurate number to tell you exactly how many.
And what are they going to do in this service?
So if you don't treat the water with these chemicals, then the pipes get all corroded and blocked up. Just think of it as like Freon or antifreeze in your car, like changing the oil in your car. It's the same thing with the chiller.
But this is not, this is water for the cooler, for the air conditioning system, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It's not drink, okay.
Nine point
15.
15.
Vice Chair.
Maintenance Department utility trucks.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the purchase of 14 vans and 1 truck for the district's facility maintenance team for $847,495 from HIMS Motor Company.
Any questions?
Yeah, just one. Sorry.
Amber,
The slide reads 600,000 and we just heard 800 and something thousand, which is the correct number. It's in red, so I assume maybe we did change it after the fact, but I just want to clarify what the cost is.
Ms. Stewart?
Just 1 second, I'll pull up my documentation. The correct cost is $847,495 from Helms Motor Company.
Point of order. So we just need to make the proper corrections. Thanks.
Please update that slide.
My question was, what is the useful life of a utility truck? How often do we need to purchase these?
Stewart.
So you'll notice in those in the description and background, or maybe it's on the next slide. Can you go a slide down, Ms. Timberlake? This is all the wrong slide altogether. I apologize. I'll make sure the board office has the correct one. So we have vehicles that are over 100,000 miles, you see there, and some over 200,000 miles over 20 years. So what we're trying to do is retire some of those that are constantly in the shop. And going forward, we will have a rolling budget line item every year so that our fleet never gets this old and so that we have a truck for every person to drive, every maintenance tech.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Board Member Williams? Your light is on. Any more questions?
I'm sorry, this is Board Member McKinney. I'm sorry, it's an echo, so I want to make sure that I understood. The cost is $600,000. I think the reference to the $700,000 was to what the cost of repairs have been. Is that right?
No, Board Member McKinney, the cost is $847,495. We need to update that slide.
Okay, I appreciate that. And if I recall during our board committee meeting as well, where you explained what you were doing there, one of the things we can do is also retire some of those vehicles, and we can potentially auction them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
(9.16)
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the contract for the fire system upgrades at Germantown High School to state system for $986,775.
Any questions? 9.17.
Vice Chair Love, it is recommended that the Shelby County Board of Education approve the contract to A&B Construction, Inc. for $257,378.20 for the auditorium, sound, and stage lighting upgrades at White Station High School.
Board Member Williams, do you have a question?
Going back to Germantown, are we not getting out of that building before we put that kind of money in it? When will they be moving? When is the expectation that they will have a school?
7 years? Yes, we still have another 7 years.
They will be in that school another 7 years that they're in.
Possibly.
I thought we had a contract on something else.
No, sir, not at this time. We're still looking, Board Member Williams, we're still looking for land for the new East School.
So how much money are you going to put into that building? How much is this?
If we go back to the Germantown slide, it says $986,775.
That's a lot.
Right
of
at $1 million.
We have to tear down. That's a lot of money.
I have a question. If the timing is right, we can move that sound system to another school once we,
It's, I think we're talking about two separate schools. This is Germantown. We went back to item 9.16. The sound system is at White Station 9.17.
yeah, the fire system.
One is a fire system and the other is a sound system.
And Dr. Richmond, correct me, this is a matter of safety, so this is kind of a non-negotiable, correct?
That is correct.
Any more questions?
Well, it is a matter of safety. We do have a process by which we service schools. And I know that there are some schools who've been waiting a long time for heating, for air, and for certain things. And I want to make sure that the rotation is proper and we're not putting money into a building that we are about to abandon. Because there are schools who don't have heat and air already. And I know that you have this process for doing it, but I want to make sure that it is amicable and fair.
Thank you, Board Member Williams. I'd also like for Mr. Langston to just kind of weigh in to give a little more context. Mr. Langston.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond, members of the board. I want to point our attention to the gap analysis. You'll see here that currently the building is under what's called fire watch. That means when we don't have working fire components in the building, we have to do it. We are spending $24,192 a month on a fire watch. So over the span of time is going to pay for itself. So either we have to do fire watch by code or we replace the components of the building. So it's either or. So we have to spend the money, and it makes sense to go ahead and take care of the equipment. It's not just for Germantown, but that's any of our buildings. One of the things we'll talk about in our board retreat is some life safety issues that we have. And again, when we have fire marshals to come out and they assess our components of life safeties, particularly in fire, if we don't have working fire systems, we have to have some people around the clock watching the building in case something happens.
Under fire watch?
No, sir.
How many other schools are?
We can get there for you fairly quickly, but even in your district, one of the schools, the fire marshal came by Whitehaven during spring break this month. So again, with those components for a fire watch, we're either going to have to pay for a round-the-clock fire watch, and eventually we have to replace those components of those buildings.
Yeah, I was just concerned because I do know that we will be abandoning that buildings at some point, and to put this kind of money in it, and their schools are still without in the same condition, and we're not doing it. So I don't know how much sense it makes.
Yes, sir. I think that's a first statement. Again, we're going to spend it one way or the other. We're going to either spend it on a fire watch or we're going to replace the fire system. And at $24,000 over the course of a year, we would have spent over close to $300,000 in just 1 year. And depending on what we do with eventually solving for Northeastern Region High School, this would have paid for itself in a 2-year span.
Good evening, I'm sorry. Board Member McKinney, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I think one of the clarifications that I think some of us would like to know, I know at least I would, is what are the parameters for returning or providing that school to Germantown in 7 years? Is it something that we are merely handing over, or are there some sort of contractual terms in terms of getting any compensation for that building? If so, then anything that we're putting into the building would be part of increasing the value of that building. So while I totally agree that we need to make sure the building is safe, I have no problems with that. But to the question that I think Vice Chair Love was leading to, it was about the lighting system. And there were some other things that we've done to make that building more usable and for our students that are currently in that school. So that's some clarification I think we would need to have for all of us as we move down this road.
So Board Member McKinney, is that a statement, or do you want me to ask Mr. Langston to answer that question?
I think it's both. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Langston, would you answer that question for Board Member McKinney?
Yes, sir. Again, members of the board, Dr. Richmond, Board Member McKinney, excellent question. What I would say is that, again, we still own Germantown High School. Under the resolution that we have with the county commission is that the proceeds of the sale of this school, in legislation, we have 7 years. So the proceeds of the sale of this school will still belong to us, and we will use that towards a future high school, obviously a Northeast Region high school as well. So you brought up a great component, even that is a selling point. So obviously, when it comes time to sell the building, it'll be appraised, and one of the appraisals, obviously, is a life safety thing. We'll have a new fire system in it, and then it should raise the cost of the appraisal of the building when it's time to sell it, if that makes sense.
Right, and we also added a new gym floor, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And again, the gym floor is for the athletes. So with them being able to compete over the next however long we're in that building, we just wanted to have an opportunity for them as well. But to your point, the gym floor would be a part of it. It raises the value of the building. So again, when it's time to appraise it and ultimately sell the building, it'll go towards the proceeds of whatever new East Region High School we buy.
Right, so these are capital improvements that we're making that will add value to the possible sale of the building, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now, do we have any more questions about 9.17?
Question, the summation that I have is that I don't think Germantown has it's not their plan to use the facility. They plan to tear it down and build a mall or something is what they have on their records. So that we're not building it for another school. We're moving it because we no longer own the property. We're having to relocate because of the merger. But their intent is not to build a school there.
That's correct.
Tito, Mr.
The chair
Langston.
recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Mr. Tito, can the fire alarm system be moved to another school?
Answer that for me, Mr. Langston.
Thank you, Dr. Richmond. Excellent question, Ms. Love. Parts of it could possibly be what I would say is that depending on the size of a school, it would have to be retrofitted for that size of a school. So I don't want to, it's a yes and a no. Parts of the components could be used for it, but it's not necessarily a take it away and then replace it with another one, if that makes sense.
And I have another question, Superintendent. It isn't on the agenda, but it is the same as this school. I would like a presentation to go before the board. Lucy E. Campbell. It is in the same situation as Tamarcus School, Germantown High School. It's not on the agenda, but I would like a presentation.
Within that presentation, what would you like for us to share with you, Vice Chair Love?
Where the kids are going to go, the time frame, and the community meetings, because we don't want to wait till the last minute.
Thank you for that clarification. I think we're talking about there's Lucy E. Campbell and there's Lucy Campbell for the listening audience that's in a similar position.
Lucy E. Campbell, which is located in my district, Eastern Shelby County.
Yes, near Millington.
Yeah.
Yes.
Millington acquired the building several years ago, and they are turning that into a school. And we need to keep all those students.
Yes, ma'am. We'll bring you a presentation.
For the record, I'm here tonight, Joyce Doris Coleman. For the record, I was told I need to announce that I am here. I was Sorry I'm late, I was traveling. The chair recognizes Board Member Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarity, when are we going to demolish the school? I think this is Germantown, right? And this is what we talking about? Yeah, Germantown. Because he's saying, go ahead.
Yes. We will not demolish the school. What Board Member Williams was speaking to is if and when the schools are turned back over to Germantown Municipal District, what we've been told the schools will be demolished. But we don't know that for a fact until that happens.
Okay, thank you for clarity.
The chair recognizes Board Member Williams.
Yeah.
Do with the property.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any further questions on 9.17? Not, we're moving on. We're now on to board items. The chair recognizes Ms. Darnisha Clark. The first item is 10.1 approval, resolution declaring review of the Shelby County Board of Education Policy Manual.
Resolution declaring review of the Shelby County Board of Education Policy Manual. Whereas the Shelby County Board of Education, hereby referred to as the board, is responsible for compiling and publishing an official operating policy manual. And whereas pursuant to the Tennessee Code, anointed 49-2206, the policy manual must be updated every 2 years. And whereas from September 2024 through February 2025, the board conducted a comprehensive review of the policy manual led by the Office of Governmental Affairs and Compliance. Be it resolved that the board hereby confirms its fulfillment of the statutory obligations to review the policy manual as required by Tennessee Code anointed 49-2-06 and committed to the ongoing review and updates of the policy. On this day, the 25th day of March 2025, sponsored by Policy, Governance, and Legislative Committee co-chairs, Natalie J. McKinney, District 2, and Stephanie Love, District 3.
Are there any questions or comments on that resolution, proposed resolution?
I just want to, all of the changes that we suggested and agreed upon during policy retreats, have they all been updated and are they reflected in the board docs version of our policy manual?
Is Ms. Stewart or Ms. Wade here? Thank you, Ms. Wade.
This is Natalie
hear me?
McKinney. If I can.
Hold on one moment. Let Ms.
Okay.
Wade answer and then you can go. I'll tell you when, just a second, please.
Thank you, Superintendent. Madam Chair. Yes, we are in the process of making those revisions now. Once they are made, we will bring them forward as proposed revisions so that you all may provide your feedback. We will bring them forth according to the review process, and then upon your approval, those will be published to the manual.
Okay, so this resolution just acknowledging that we've given our review of all the policies, but we will still have to go through the multiple readings for each policy to adopt the changes that we suggested.
That's correct.
Okay.
What the resolution is saying is that we have met the requirement of the law to do the review. Now we will go back and we will do the work of what we have brought forward as recommendations, what you all have requested as far as revisions. So we're in that process now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Board Member McKinney.
No, I think she responded to it. Thank you.
You're welcome. The chair recognizes Board Member Williams.
How will policy, you will have a lot of policies to redo with the new laws that have been passed in the state legislature, for example, cell phones in the school now. If they have passed that, our policy will obviously have to change because to address how they will be used and how we will handle that process, along with the other legislative changes that the state legislature are currently trying to put on this district. I guess policy has to go back and reconsider all of those things to make sure that we're in sync with them.
Yes, yes, Board Member Williams, each and every year we review and update policies as they change based on statute.
And that impacts our policies, right?
Yes, sir.
State legislature, okay.
Yes, sir.
The chair recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Interim Superintendent, how often do you go over policies with the employees?
That's an excellent question, Vice Chair Love. I send out policies regularly to employees. Most of the employees will tell you as part of my Monday memo, particularly this year, I've sent policies out. If I see where there's certain policies that we see people are not adhering to, we send those policies as a reminder.
What are the consequences for not following a policy?
All policies state, first of all, we want to use progressive discipline, but up into termination is what most policies state in the policy
Final
manual.
question, is the principal responsible for making sure all the staff in her building or his building administers to the policies?
Yes, but as recently as today, the team will tell you that I have requested that as we onboard new employees, we go over policies as part of their onboarding process.
Because I've been on the board for 11 years and I don't know every policy, but the employees have to know policy as it relates to our children.
I totally agree. And again, the team will tell you, as well as principals and people in the field, this year I have sent policies weekly for them to review.
May I add a suggestion? You can do videos.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Board Member McKinney.
Thank you, Vice Chair Love, for asking those questions. I'd also like to make an observation and also a suggestion for Dr. Richmond's consideration. One, I'd like to thank Dr. Richmond for attending the policy retreat. I believe you might be the first superintendent that's done that. Secondly, have you considered doing anything on an annual basis? I know that you all have your principals retreat, I don't know, training right before school starts. And I know at one time the district did invite the policy office in to train the principals on a regular basis on policies that were pertinent to not only the operation of the schools, but also that were pertinent for their teachers and their staff. And I'd like to ask you to consider something to that effect, in addition to continuing to do what you do, which is on a consistent and regular basis. bring policies that are relevant to the attention of your staff and administration. So, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member McKinney. My team will tell you, I often reflect on when I was an assistant principal in my first assistant principal assignment, and the principal that I had at the time would make me take home the policy manual each and every day, which at that time was a big blue notebook for those of you all who've been around for a while. Now all of our policies are online, but again, most of the staff will tell you, I often talk of policy, and I'm often reminding the team of following policy. What I would like for us to do more of is to evaluate policy. Implementation and evaluating policy are extremely important, because we may have some policies that are either outdated or antiquated that we need to look at, but we also need to be reviewing them to ensure that they're being implemented with fidelity. So thank you for that question, and we will ensure that we're training principals as well as other staff on policy. Thank you.
And you're welcome. One follow-up to that, while you are checking on if they're being implemented with fidelity, may I suggest that you also think about the impact. Is it actually what you need? And so, and how you need it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and if you all recall, the one thing that stood out during our retreat was the example policy that tied student goals and expectations. And we discussed if we wanted to add that component, particularly around student achievement, so that we would make sure that our policies aligned with our core business, which was student achievement, which was
I appreciate that reminder. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any more? We'll move to 10.2, approval, resolution opposing changes in elected school boards authority. Ms. Clark.
Okay, I'm trying to navigate this. Hold on for me. All right. Board members, this is a resolution that I have brought before you today, given the what is going on now with the proposed bill 662 and any other proposed bills from the state that may impact our authority as an elected body. I'm trying to get to see the, all right, so I'll read that into the record. Resolution opposing changes in the authority of the duly elected Shelby County Board of Education. Whereas Memphis-Shelby County Schools is the largest school district in Tennessee, serving over 100,000 students, and plays a critical role in the education and development of the children and families in our community. And whereas the Shelby County Board of Education recognizes the importance of continuous governance training and development to enhance its effectiveness, and has proactively engaged in these efforts to strengthen district leadership and oversight. And whereas the Shelby County Board of Education has demonstrated its commitment to long-term academic success by directing the superintendent to develop an academic plan within 90 days, and by seeking to engage a consultant to help establish new district-wide goals following the conclusion of Destination 2025. And whereas the board has identified and prioritized strategic actions, including the development of a comprehensive academic plan, academic accountability measures, and a facilities plan to address immediate and long-term needs of the district. And whereas MSCS has acted in full accordance with all applicable state laws and board policies, ensuring responsible and legally sound governance in the best interest of Shelby County's children and families. And whereas local governance of public schools ensures that decisions are made by elected representatives who are directly accountable to the residents of Memphis and Shelby County, reflecting the unique needs, challenges, and priorities of our community. And whereas efforts to alter or diminish the authority of the duly elected Shelby County Board of Education through legislative or executive action undermine the fundamental principles of local control and democratic representation in public education. And whereas state interventions, including the Tennessee Achievement School District, also known as ASD, in public school governance have historically yielded mixed or negative results, often leading to disruptions in student learning, loss of local oversight and accountability, and a diminished role for community stakeholders in decision-making processes. And whereas Whereas there has been no evidence presented to justify any legislative or executive action to diminish or alter the authority of the Shelby County Board of Education, particularly as the board has been actively addressing governance and strategic planning priorities in good faith. And whereas the Shelby County Board of Education recognizes that the most effective way to improve student achievement is through collaboration with stakeholders, including parents, educators, community leaders, and local elected officials, rather than through state-imposed governance changes that may not align with the needs of our students. And whereas proposed changes to the governance of MSCS would divert attention and resources away from ongoing local efforts to improve academic performance, student support services, and long-term strategic planning for the district. And whereas a coalition of community organizations, faith leaders, and education advocates have voiced strong opposition to any efforts to diminish the authority of the Shelby County Board of Education, emphasizing the importance of locally driven decision-making in public education. And now therefore it be resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education formally opposes any legislation or executive actions that would alter, diminish, or transfer its authority to any external governing body, and urges the Tennessee General Assembly, the governor, and the State Department of Education to respect the autonomy and responsibilities of the duly elected school board. And be it further resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education calls upon all elected officials representing Memphis and Shelby County, including the Shelby County Commission, Memphis City Council, the Shelby County and City of Memphis mayors, to publicly oppose any governance changes that would weaken the authority of the Shelby County Board of Education and support the continued local governance of MSCS. And be it further resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education directs the superintendent and district leadership to continue engaging with the state legislators, community leaders, and stakeholders to advocate against any actions that would alter its governance structure, and to reaffirm MSCS's commitment to student-centered leadership and continuous district improvement. And be it further resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education calls upon other school boards across Tennessee to join in opposition to any legislative or executive measures that seek to limit the authority of duly elected school boards and disenfranchise voters by stripping locally elected officials of their governance responsibilities. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution shall be sent to the governor of Tennessee, the Tennessee General Assembly, the Tennessee Department of Education, the Shelby County Commission, the Memphis City Council, and other relevant stakeholders to ensure broad awareness of the board's position.
Chair recognizes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was getting the questions, Board Member McKinney. The chair recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Ms. McKinney, I wanted to be added on as a sponsor. And the second question is interim superintendent, can you ask Angela Whitelaw to get me the data on literacy rates in Tennessee as a whole, and to compare our literacy rates to that of the Tennessee House, the Tennessee statewide?
Vice Chair Love, we will work on getting that data for the team.
I want it in this meeting because I have another question in the queue.
Okay, I'll ask Bill White.
Yeah.
Can you help us, Mr. White, with the literacy rates across the state?
For us and for...
Compared to the state?
Yeah.
Are you able to pull it up now?
I'm sorry, I may need a few minutes, but yes.
Thank you.
I wait.
While you're waiting, and then we'll come back, okay. The chair recognizes Board Member Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner McKinney, I would like to be added to this resolution as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we won't,
I know for starters, we were at 27. We were at 27.5 for literacy, Mr. White. So what we may need to do is look at what the state's literacy rate was compared to our 27.5.
The state is not doing too well in literacy as a whole. The Board of Education is reliant on the state to do TCAP testing, curriculum, and a whole list of other things. I will wait to next week to ask some more questions. The state needs to do a better job in the state. Don't focus on us. Do a better job in the state.
Chair recognizes Board Member Hewitt Garcia.
Thank you. I think over the last few days I've been pretty vocal that the triggering event, or at least the supposed triggering event for this, I stood on a different side of several of my colleagues up here, or the majority of my colleagues up here. I feel like I've been working hard to find common ground, and that we all agree on more than we don't. But I also understand that the community wants to see some change, but relinquishing our democratic right to choose leaders is not it. I stand in opposition to anything that resembles a full takeover of stripping rights that puts the power in voters' hands, but I want to acknowledge that we can't maintain the status quo, and it does not feel good to say, I told you so. That doesn't feel good. But that is the shaking anger of which a lot of community members feel. But there has to be a middle ground, and I am working on that with other community leaders right now. Hopefully that we can get to a different path, but hear me, threatening democracy is not it. So I'll support this resolution.
Thank you.
The board recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Board Member Amber Garcia, I don't know if you were listening to the meeting this morning. Chair White indicated that he has been working on this bill for 2 years. I have been on the board for 11 years. And there is always mention of a state takeover. The ASD was a dumping ground in my community. I heard on the meeting today that 6 schools came off the priority list. Where did all the other students? What happened to them? Frazier was taken over by the state. And in 10 years, they had 5 superintendents. I agree with you. It needs to be changed. We are doing a disservice if we let one student go by the wayside. We are all elected officials. Our community voted us in, and they can feel free to vote us out. The state doesn't have a say-so in this. Of course, they do have a say-so, but we have a capable interim superintendent, and the chiefs of our departments are doing the best job they can. And I'm willing to bet the teachers are doing the best job they can. Kids can't learn if they aren't in school. There are a myriad of issues that go along with the school system, and we can't fix that by ourselves.
The chair recognizes Board Member McKissick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just thought I would weigh in on this regarding this resolution, which I'm inclined to add my name to it, but it would be a bit disingenuous for us as a board to state that actions taken place over the last couple of months did not contribute. It was the, we kind of handed them what they wanted on a silver platter. Yes, this has been a concern where Representative White has sought to intervene on this school district for quite some time, but at the time in which this was taking place, MSCS was not on their radar at that time. They were focused on their vouchers in this particular moment. And so the actions taken by the board fast-tracked it and brought it to the forefront, and then they had the support of the community that overwhelmingly were outraged with the actions of this board. And so that also contributed toward where we are today. I think it's a very rash decision what is being attempted in Nashville by legislators there, and I'm disappointed by the vote taking place today in subcommittee and what is surely to come. But at the same time, as I've stated before, this is just not good for our community, for voters to have their voice squashed out. And so as a result of that, I will sign my name on to this resolution because I too, along with everyone on this board, believes in a democracy where voters get to choose who represents them. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Board Member Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with my colleagues. We're in a position where we have to come together as one, no matter what our differences may be. I stood out there in front of Central Office 2 years ago when they tried to take over the school or even add managers over the 9 of the commissioners. And I wasn't a commissioner at the time, but I disagreed with it. So I stood in front of Central Office to speak up for the commissioners that were sitting at the time. And where we are now, it is stripping our power away from us. Voters' nullification is where we are and what they're trying to do. We were well within our rights. And I think they overstepped their boundaries, but what happened with them that pushed them over the top was the county commissioners voting for us being incompetent. That was their end to say that these commissioners don't know how to do their job. But we were well within our rights. And I am happy that we have our interim superintendent because we see the change, and the change is different The atmosphere in this place is different. And we want to move forward to get our district back on track. So we don't need to backtrack. We need to fight a little bit harder because this is our district. This is our city. These are our children. And it's up to us to make the difference in the lives of these children. It is not their decision. It is our decision. And we need to keep our power. So we have to do what we need to do to move to the next level. What's happened has happened. We can't change that. But we do have to do our jobs. We do have to follow policy. And that's what we've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Board Member Porter.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair. Since I've been elected, we've spent almost all of my time talking about the recent personnel changes that we've made. And so now we find ourselves in a situation where we have to regain public trust. So I'll definitely sign on to the resolution as well because I'm not for state takeovers or interventions, whatever way they want to use the word. But yeah, we have to get it right. We have to get it right. And so we don't have all the answers. I ran for school board to try to be a part of the solutions. So we don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to work and collaborate with all stakeholders that's involved in this.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Love. Chair recognizes Board Member Williams.
Thank you. We may not have all the answers, but we do know right from wrong. And we do know that we did what was right and what was good for this community and this city. There is no part of me that tells me that Mark White and that whole group cares anything about Memphis and Shelby County. Mm-hmm. So you can't come to my house making rules for me. And while we need to be nice about it and candid about it, the truth will stand. And what they attempted to do, you can't go back and put that on this elected board. You cannot come to Memphis because we are the black part of this state and take advantage of the citizens here. You've done it for years. Mm-hmm. And you've tried to destroy Tennessee State University. What else you gonna do? So I do not make an apologist for the things that they've done. And it didn't work and it won't work. There is no way that Mark White and his group or his minions has control of what goes on in Memphis. They don't vote here, they don't live here. And if at the end of the day, the citizens of Memphis proper pay to support public education, and that's what we use. State doesn't give us that kind of money. We get money out of the taxpayer dollars from this county. And so they are elected as we are. And you don't come here with your right-sizing something. Fix what you're doing. Fix your area where you are in the city council and the county commission. We got this. So we don't need for you to come in. If you want to be a school board member, then run for that position. So I make no apologies, but I certainly have some reservations about anything that they serve because it is not for the good of my children and this community. And I lived and I came through this district, taught this district for 50 years, and stayed in the district for a long time. Educated here. I know this district. And I know what they know about us. And we are the only African Americans district in this state that they're coming for. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason.
Thank you. Board Member McKinney, will you please add my name?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have my hand up, but
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to make sure I got everybody's name. Is everybody signing on? I can't see everybody. That's there?
Yeah. Yes. Everybody's
Okay.
signing on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I appreciate that. I do want to put some framing on this. I heard several things in all of my fellow board members making a statement about this. I think that we need to let's avoid being disingenuous and talking about the why of this. I think that we all need to recognize, not only as board members, new board members sitting on this board, but also as the more seasoned board members on this board, but that the state has been involved in trying to take over this district for decades. This is not simply a one-time thing, and and as I think one of the board members said, we opened the door. I think maybe this is more of, for the state, this was, yes, it was an opportunity. This is an opportunistic grab, for lack of a better way to say. We might have disagreed on the decision we made that perpetuated this. However, as we all understand and have begun to learn about governance, it's that when the board makes a democratic decision, when the majority rules, whether there are those who agree or disagree, when the majority rules, that is the decision of the board. So I appreciate everyone bringing to light sort of their thoughts around what may or may not have precipitated this. But I do want to say that we have to be reminded, as I think Board Member Love has said over and over again, that we too are elected officials, and we are held accountable through a democratic process, and that is called voting. And we made a decision, and I'm sure we're going to make more decisions that may be unpopular. For instance, we're getting ready to go through our facilities plan. We're going to create a plan. We're going to have to shut down and consolidate schools, and that doesn't make anyone happy. So I want to say this, that we have heard, we heard from community around that decision we made, the personnel decision. We're now hearing from community about the takeover, and I think community as a whole are like, no, we don't want our democratic rights to be taken away. We do not want to be disenfranchised, because that's exactly what this move with the state would do. I further want to emphasize that we did seek to talk to Chair White for alternatives, seeking alternatives that would be inclusive of the community. I think I shared that with the board during the policy retreat that we had a couple of weeks ago. We had what we call the Intergovernmental Age Advisory Council, where we wanted to seek some of the same things that I find interesting that are in that piece of legislation, where we wanted to work collaboratively with the community and make sure that they had some eyes and transparency into and window into sight into what we were doing, and offer suggestions and advice on how to move forward collectively. So I think as we move forward as a board and do our governance work, I think we have this, we don't need this in our way to get that done. And so I appreciate everyone's comments. I appreciate, more importantly, what I appreciate is that we are all on the same page when it comes to this. We can agree to disagree, but the one thing that I know we all agree to is that we all, as my fellow board member,
Board Member McKinney,
Vice Chair Love said, we all stood in the hot sun.
The time, board members, our parliamentarian has you on a time, and the time has
I'm
gone.
I'm gonna be quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Board Member Love.
Thank you, Natalie, for your comments. The turnaround state project is doing well in 2 of my schools. That is comprised of the board, the principal, and parents, and the school board members. They got that right. One, that is doing well in my district. We don't need a state takeover. We need the same thing as the turnaround work that the state implemented. And we have the mechanism to duplicate that in all of our schools if the state so chooses. Tresman and Hawkins Mill are off the list because of that. The teachers, parents, and students and this board, along with the Board of Education staff members, work together to create a plan. And that is the ending solution. We don't need a takeover. We need collaboration from the state and the county and the city to get our kids where they need to be.
Thank you, everyone. Now we move to 10.3, and this is the strengthen governance through collaboration resolution. And this is a resolution that has been read a couple of times, but we had to have some edification done, and we just want to make sure that everything is correct on it one last time before Tuesday. We'll turn it over to Board Member Porter.
Yeah. So, because I think it may be corrected online, but I think the ones that we have in front of us has the wrong language. But just a quick overview is exactly what Board Member Love just said. This was a proactive resolution to speak to what's been happening. And so we do need more collaboration, and now more so than ever, just to rebuild community trust. So this is what this particular resolution that we'll vote on for the next board meeting, this is what this speaks to. So more so collaboration and how do we, what does rebuilding community trust looks like within this resolution.
Any questions on it? No questions. We move to 10.4, approval resolution approving MSCS board member strategic school fund allocations for March. They will be read into record on Tuesday if you have not turned all your allocations in.
Yes, I have not yet. I will get them in before Thursday.
Superintendent, is this the last that we can do for this school year, or can we continue in April and May?
I'll check with staff to see.
Okay, so we may have to govern ourselves according, board members, if this is the last that we can do with our school funding, with our strategic fund allocations.
I'm sorry, Board Chair Coleman, I think we received an email indicating that this would be the last month so that they could close whatever they need to do in terms of closing the books for this year.
Okay, this is the last month, so if you have school allocation funding that you would like to spend, please get it to Karen by Friday. I know we're traveling Friday, but please, so she can have time to put them all in, please. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Actually, well, we have one other thing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's not in my paperwork here. It's not in the parliamentarians. Is it the PreK?
Yes.
The PreK is there.
I know it wasn't added to the strip.
It wasn't added.
No.
Yeah. It was right here.
Yeah. Michelle. I do apologize, Ms. Board Member Kenny. We can.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to read this. Thank you. And I think, is Board Member McKissick still there?
No.
Okay. This is a resolution that's being presented by both myself and Board Member McKissick. If there are any questions, I do have Candace Thomas in the audience available for any questions. But let me go ahead and read this in. Shelby County Board of Education resolution to support First 8 Memphis PreK for All initiative. Whereas Memphis-Shelby County Schools early childhood program serves approximately 5,200 PreK students annually, and whereas First 8 funds 50 PreK classrooms operated by MSCS benefiting approximately 100,000 students, and whereas research indicates that 90% of brain development occurs before the age of 5, underscoring the critical importance of high-quality early childhood education in promoting cognitive, social, and emotional development, and whereas increased access to high-quality PreK is a strategic investment that yields long-term benefits, including improved academic achievement, enhanced workforce readiness, reduced criminal activity, and improved overall economic and community well-being, and whereas expanding access to high-quality PreK is a strategy to close opportunity gaps and promote educational equity for all children in Memphis and Shelby County, And whereas a service gap currently exists for MSCS families whose household income exceeds income eligibility requirements but would still benefit from publicly funded pre-K programs. And whereas the term of pre-K for all refers to a high-quality program dedicated to preparing all Memphis and Shelby County students for lifelong success. And whereas pre-K for all ensures that every 3 and 4 year old in Memphis and Shelby County, okay. Year is moving too fast. Enhanced word. Okay. Whereas increased research indicates 90% of brain development occurs before the age of 5, underscoring the critical importance of high quality early childhood education in promoting cognitive, social, and emotional development. And whereas increased access to high quality pre-K is a strategic investment that yields long-term benefits, including improved academic achievement, enhanced workforce readiness, reduced criminal activity, and improved overall economic and community well-being. And whereas expanding access to high quality pre-K is a strategy to close opportunity gaps and promote educational equity for all children in Memphis and Shelby County. And whereas a service gap currently exists for MSCS families whose household income exceeds income eligibilities but would still benefit from publicly funded pre-K programs. And whereas the term pre-K for all refers to a high quality program dedicated to preparing all Memphis and Shelby County students for lifelong success. And whereas pre-K for all ensures that every 3 and 4 year old in Memphis and Shelby County has access to high quality publicly funded early childhood education regardless of income. And whereas pre-K for all aims to enhance the alignment of program quality across all providers by promoting high quality standards across all pre-K programs within Memphis Shelby County schools. And whereas early childhood program would be able to serve additional pre-K students annually, and whereas MSCS can leverage blended and braided funding strategies utilizing state voluntary pre-K investments alongside local and philanthropic funding to maximize resources for high quality pre-K programs. Be it therefore resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education will work in collaboration with joint city and county appointed pre-K fiscal agent and other local stakeholders to ensure access, quality, and data sharing necessary to implement, sustain, and continuously support PK for all. Be it further resolved that the Shelby County Board of Education expresses its strong support for PK4A, advocating for the expansion of access to early childhood education, the increase of publicly funded pre-K seats, and the establishment of high-quality standards for all pre-K classrooms within Memphis Shelby County schools, ensuring that every child, regardless of income, has an opportunity to benefit from high-quality early childhood education, sponsored by Natalie J. McKinney, District 2, and Michelle McKissick, District 1. Just for FYI, if you all are not aware, the county and the city are currently moving through their process a joint ordinance to establish a fiscal agent to raise funds, to allocate resources, and help us to stand up high quality pre-K seats for all students, regardless of their income level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is awesome to hear, Board Member McKinney. We've suffered too many times that a child is $1 or less, sometimes over the income bracket, and they cannot attend one of the pre-K classes. So the collaboration, this is what we're talking about, working together so all of our children will be able to receive those services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Love, the chair recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Sign my name on the dotted line. This is amazing, considering the benefit it will have for early pre-K in our school system. The data shows that the earlier a child can get into pre-K, they are most likely to succeed. I have 4 children who all went to pre-K. They are doing well in their lives. Superintendent Rod Richmond, I have a question for you. How many seats do we have in pre-K that accommodate 4-year-olds?
I defer to Ms. Gordon. Ms. Gordon.
Good evening, Interim Superintendent Dr. Richmond and Board Commissioners. We're currently funded 5,200. In First Aid, we're 1,000 students. With Head Start, it's 3,200. And then with the VPK, it's, of course, you know, we do the blended funding with VPK and Head Start. So it's 1,460. And then we have the 1,520.
How many seats are needed in Shelby County alone?
Well, when we look at the research and when we look at the number of students that are the live birth rates, we need, and then when we look at our kindergarten enrollment, we serve a little bit over 10,000 kindergarten students. I know at one time we talked about having a 1-for-1 match with the number of kindergarten students that we serve in the school district, that we would have that number of pre-K students. But there's a total of 12,000, I think it's a little over 12,100 and something live births of number of children that are being born in the county around 4-year-old that would match the 4-year-old seats that we would need.
And the next question, if this funding is available, your First Aid is going to disperse them seats all across Memphis?
So from my understanding is that the city and the county would come together and they would decide the number of seats that they would add per year to get to the overall goal, the pre-K for all. So each year the seats will increase until we are able to totally fund pre-K, just like the state did with kindergarten, where they gradually added it, and then we end up being able to serve all children at the age of 5 years old entering the kindergarten. We're hoping to get to that with preschool.
This is more of a comment. I have been involved in pre-K for 20 years. I'm not disclosing my age. I know that it works.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a game changer if the city and the county do as this resolution entails. I have a principal. She tells me all the time her teachers and her parents are disadvantaged because there isn't a seat at that school. Over income. The kids need a place to educate. This is a game changer, and I'm waiting on the day that the county commission and city council approves that ordinance.
Yes. Me too.
The chair recognizes Board Member Murphy.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I am excited about this because my son is from pre-K, and so it does help when a child starts at pre-K and then go on. And so just sitting in the meetings and listening to them saying, hey, we're going to collaborate and we're going to get more children to come to pre-K, even if their income is a little bit over, you know, the $1, that gives all the kids the opportunity to go to pre-K. And I know that this company, they're undefeated for success. That's all they want is success for our children. And so I am honored to sit here and be a part of that. So I'm waiting, just like the rest of us, for them to collaborate and say, hey, let's make this work, because we need our kids to read. We need our kids to learn. And so I'm just excited. Thank y'all so much. I don't have no question. I'm just excited.
We want to thank Director Gordon and Miss Candace. I don't know if she's still in, but there she is in the back waving. Vice Chair Love and I had the opportunity to go to the county commission meeting and how they talked about working together. And they had one common goal, and that was to make sure our babies are taken care of. And we thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank them as well. I know ever since the merger, we've been looking to be able to provide universal pre-K to about 12,000 students. So I appreciate you sharing that information. It would have a significant impact on our community.
Especially when you think about, we've heard Director Gordon tell us that they've turned away parents that were 47, am I right? 47 cents over the threshold. Now to know that that baby will be able to start in pre-K, and one day they'll be sitting up here in our seats. Yeah, they'll be sitting up here.
Okay, I didn't push my button, but Madam Chair, thank you. I think this is good considering our children can't read by the 3rd grade. Starting at pre-K, it will kick that off, and we wouldn't have so much trouble with our kids reading at or above grade level. I know this, that my son said something the other day to me, and he said, Mom, well, he can't read. I said, well, help him. Well, Mom, he didn't go to pre-K. Son, I need you to help. But because pre-K helped him, he reads above grade level. So our children needs to be exposed to pre-K experience.
Thank you, Commissioner. Murphy. Vice Chair, the chair recognizes Vice Chair Love.
Davlin, Miss Davlin, Director Gordon. I really hope you can collaborate with the First Aid Grant to get parents to see the importance of bringing their kids to school and making sure they stay every hour. Because it does no good to have a seat open and the kids aren't coming to school every day. The foundation starts at home, but we can continue the foundation once the kids get to school. I see so many empty seats. We can't require a student, a parent, to send their students to school, but we can enforce the importance of coming to school each and every day.
Thank you. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.